Alright everyone, brace yourself. This video gonna cover crops, just by a request by random people. So let's talk about it. What is crops after all? Crops are simply a farm level 2. A better way of farm things, because vanilla way like this, it's not that useful, right? You come here, you break your crop, and you get your wheat and more seeds, and then to replant. That's kind of boring. Crops help you to avoid that, because you don't only need to place the crop and plant what you want on it, like wheat or even sugar canes, that instead of placing near water, you can place it on the stick, and it's become this useful. So when can we start crops? We can start the crops right away in the game. All we need is some hoe with you and some wood, because to make crops all we need is some sticks. And we got two. At first, the crops were designed to help you making the farms more easily to manage, because you can make this kind of setup here with a 9x9 area and have your wheat, your sugar cane, everything here and more easily to get. Because as you can see here, you have some pumpkins and some melons here, and they are only into one space. Do not need to plant into one square and wait to grow to another one, then to break. And to harvesting, all you need to do is right click it and you get it, and it's kept planted, so you don't need to actually replant it, which is very useful. Even with the nether board, because planting it on soul sand can be kind of boring. But this was just the first use of it. Later on, it has given other purpose to have different types of plants that might help you with your game, like this one here. This one here is stick reeds. For those who have played Industrial Craft 2, have known that get rubber for your machines is kind of difficult and boring to keep tree tapping the trees. So with the stick reeds you can get your stick resin into a different way, and since you can make them into a lot side by side, it's easier to harvest. And as the mode evolves, we get even more and more better types of crop, some with special usages. On vanilla Industrial Crafty, before, when I was playing yet, there was only a kind of, aside this one, special crops, the ferrous here, and this is Aurelia, that when fully grow, it's gonna give you a tiny bit of iron and a tiny bit of gold. But the mod continued to evolve, and we have now a lot more different stuff, more resources now. But while everything is good, how do we get new seeds? Because aside from all vanilla seeds, you don't find the plant on the wild and get the seed. To get the new seeds, you need to crossbreed your existing ones. This can be made into a lot of ways. All you need to do is have two fully grown crops, one side of each other, then you place a crop stick and another one, and to become into this pattern. This means that those two are going to try to crossbreed. If I make it here, these two will also try to crossbreed. And I like to make crossbreed into this pattern because we have a lot of space to do that, and it is actually very easy to see it. But I should be warning you that even though this is displaced for crossbreed, this crop is empty, and if you stay empty for too long, this might happen. This is weed. Weed is bad, very bad. If one crop gets weed, it's gonna try to expand itself for the crop near to it, and it also causes blocks around it to turn back into grass, breaking your crop farm, and you don't want that, do you? So when you crossbreed crops, you get a chance of having the parents back or have something new. This is the tricky part of the crops, the part that most people don't like because it is carnal. Even though here we have some nut worts, and here we have some sugar cane, some wheat, some pumpkin, some melon, crossbreeding, all of them have almost the same chance, but that's not true, because each crop have a tier. How can we know the tier? Well, we need to have an item, the crop analyzer. And when we get the crop analyzer, we can place seed bags here and need to tell the tier of the crop. The higher the tier the crop is, the more chance you have to have the same or a higher tier. The lowest one is the wheat and the sugarcane to say, and the highest one by default is nettlewort, that is tier 5, while this one is tier 1. So crossbreeding netherworts will give you a very high chance to get the high tier crops more earlier. But it's also a problem because netherwort don't have a good status, and status is something very important for crops. The most basic one is the reeds, because reeds have a very good default. Oh, this is really tier 2. As you can see here, it have grow 3 and resistance 2 and resistance 2. While the networt here, if we can get us back of it, I don't think we can. Oh look, we have something here. But what it is, if you use a crop analyzer, it's not very difficult to make. We can scan the crop on the stick already, and to see it's a weedy, so we need to clear it. We cannot just punch the crop, we need to break completely the crop to get back to remove the weed. However, there is also a tool for that, that is the weeding trowel, which is not difficult to make, it's just some iron, some rubber, and you can right click it, and if it pop up like that, it is a weed. So in this case it was a weed, and hit it, and this time too, which is not very good. But if you try to use it into something that's not a weed, like crops here, it's not gonna work. It just harvests the block. This one is not a weed. This one is something common. It is wheat. Now backing. All the plants have status, but most of them are just like the wort that have 1 growth, 1 gain and 1 resistance. Sugarcane have a high growth at first, so it's the type of plant people choose to make the starting crossbreeding, because the status of the parents will go try to pass to the new breed crop. So the higher the tier, the high status the plant, the better the offspring will be. And this is important because each status play an important role. Grow, make it grow faster. Gain, you're gonna gain more from the same crop, and resistance is what makes it more resistant to weeds and also steppe. But it has something that's not good. A high has resistant crop will make it more difficult to crossbreed. So the perfect stance to go is grow and gain until a certain point. Why a certain point? Because you probably are asking yourself, why until this point I did not speak about biomes? That is something very important to crops. Because simply, if you're not trying to go for the super fasting, super yielding crops, it's not that much difference. The biome where you place the crops is important because it's gonna tell you how much hydration and how much nutrition it have. We are here into the plains. It's a fairly normal place to place crops. The worst place is desert for obvious reason. It has almost no water and all the ground is sand. And the best one is swamps that have a high amount of water and the soil is a lot of nutrients. When I click into the any crop with the crop analyzer, it will tell me how much nutrient, what storage, weed X and grow points that crop is. However, the biome itself is not shown here. What this status is important for the crops is that as your crop get better status, as you try to increase it, it's gonna start to demanding more for the land. So you cannot plant a high status crop into a poor land. You need to get to a better place. That's where the biome enters it. The better the biome, the more nutrition and more water it have, the less time the crop gonna require that. Going for too long, it might cause the crops to grow slower because the soil do not provide enough nutrients for it to grow at maximum speed. We also have the problem of the altitude, that the more altitude you have, the better the air and the better the crop is. It also falls into that in that same point. The more strong the crop is, the seed bag, the more you're gonna require. So since those all crops here are just the basic ones that I got from the creative tab, they only have the 111 status. So they don't require a lot of nutrition, do not require a lot of hydration, do not require a lot of fresh air. But as you get above level 10, it's gonna start requiring that, and also some sunlight. Sunlight is important for high level crops. At a certain point, crops will require to have sunlight or they will not grow, they will just die. For all crops, it's also important to have some light. Light is very important to crops because plants need light to grow. If you did not figure this out yet. That's all good, that's all fine, but there is also more problems. Some crops require certain things for them to be grow or to even be crossbreeded. Most of the flowers require to have a very high light area, and also most of the crops require to have a good amount of soil below it, because if you just have one farmland, it's not very nutritive soil to them. The best to do is make our shoe to have 5 deep dirt below all the crops, the farmland, so the crops will have a good amount of the nutrition to grow. So they won't bother you with extra nutrition until you get to high levels or you want to accelerate the growth. While some other crops like Aurelia and Ferrous here that give you iron and gold dust require certain materials on the soil for them to fully grow. Without this, they won't grow for the last stand of it. This can be so here into this new crop that I never played before. Here we have Plumbiscus. As you can see in the formation, it's just in this stage 3 or 4, but it's not gaining any grow points. That's because it don't have the material below it to do so. And Plumbia is the thing for lead, so let's grab a lead block. And now it should start to get some points. See? Now it have 4 of 2000 points. After some time pass, it's gonna lose the the nutrition and the water from the place and the soil to grow. So when there's which the set amount, it's gonna give us the result of the growth. Some others one are very tricky to do so, like one of my favorite, the red wheat. The red wheat require a light level below 10. We normally breed it with light level of 8, so mobs don't spawn and it is fairly easy. And as the name might say for you, red wheat produce headstone. So it's an infinite way to get headstone. But you don't want headstone, do you? You have a lot of it already. Not if you're gonna play with Greg Tech. But despite that, it also can help us, because most of the plants here that are normal vanilla require a very good amount of light level. As I say, flowers require a light level. So if you try to crossbreed first through red wheat from nether wart that require a very low light level, you're gonna eliminate all the flowers from your possible outcome of crops, which might accelerate your process. This is our manual, but there is nothing to help us with that. Well, there is, of course. There is always something. We have the crop matron. We can place the crop matron into our place like here, and we can feed it with some items like fertilizer, so we can provide extra nutrition for our crops, and place some water in it. On this case, I'm gonna use distilled water just because it is more easy, but the perfect way to feed this is with a pump and water, so you can have water. I was left to place some power on it. Just a quick look here. You see that is 0, 0, 0. Now give it power. It's gonna start to consume water and some fertilizer, and they're gonna feed all the crops in a very large area around it. It gets all those plants here very easily. We have this slot here for fertilizer, slots for water, and here we have this slot for WDX. WDX is a way to avoid wheat to spawning into the crops, sticks and other stuff, but it's right on a device to do that, because that's gonna flag the crop and it cause it to have reduced status and be more difficult to increase it later on. So most people just go on without them. But just doing that is okay, but getting the crops out of it is also kind of boring to have to right click it always. There is nothing to help us. Well, of course there is the crop harvester, which is very easily. Just place it here. You're gonna better place a crop analyzer on it, because without it, it will always try to harvest the crops. And with something like the sugar canes here that grow very fast, it will gonna harvest before it is full grow. But if you leave a crop analyzer here, it only harvests when everything is fully grown. So let's give some power, and you should see starting to get items here. And here is lot you place ejector upgrade, so it's gonna output the thing it harvests to any adjacent inventory. But this is for when you are ready with your crop field. Well then, this is basically it, I guess. It was not much to say, even though this was a very long video. Crops is a kind of gamble, because you need to do the crossbreeding, and as I said, it's a chance. Doing the top tiers will not always give you what you want. It is try and error. but sometime you're gonna get what you want. After you get what you want, I advise it of placing two of the same crop you want to reproduce into this pattern I place here, and just keeping crossbreeding them. So most of the time you're gonna get back what you did, but sometimes you're gonna maybe get something new. And as I said before, it's better to start going for the head wheat, because it's gonna eliminate all the flowers and all the stuff that requires sunlight from your crops. I don't know about these new crops. It don't exist before, and I have I have here more crops than the vanilla industrial craft because I have GregTech installed on the spec. So when I harvest this ferrous or this aurelia here, I'm gonna get this leaf. If you're playing just vanilla industrial craft, you're gonna get the tiny pile of dust. And all these different crops here are for, I believe, additions like stagnilium, steel leaf, live roots, shining, and plumbiscus. That's for lead. Well then, this was On God. Thank you for watching. And if you think this was not good enough and I have missed something, please comment it so so I can remake the video and explain better or not. Crops just take your patience, take your time and your dedication to it. It's a perfect job for you to do when you don't want to, or you can't play at the moment Minecraft, but you just want to stay logged on it.